Hello, hello, everyone. Today I have Tracy Hill on the podcast. She is a human design guide and creator of A Beautiful Fix, a podcast and platform that helps women stop chasing answers outside themselves and start trusting the ones within. Before this work, Tracy spent years climbing the corporate ladder, checking all the boxes, doing everything, quote, right, until she realized she didn't recognize her own life anymore. Sound familiar? Burned out and disconnected, she chose to step away and figure out how to feel alive again. That decision changed everything. Now, through human design, retreats, and soul-rooted storytelling, she guides women to understand how they're uniquely wired so they can quiet the noise, live in alignment, and remember who they were before the world told them who to be. Her mission is to help women feel high on life, one beautiful fix at a time. Wow, that sounds so when I was reading that, I'm like, oh my God, this feels like just another version of my own bio. I don't call myself a human design guide, but I'm obsessed. So I can't wait to have this conversation.
Yeah, well, that's how it starts. I think it starts with getting obsessed with it.
Yeah, I bet. So how long ago did you find human design?
So I can't remember exactly how I came across it, but it was in 2020. It was during COVID and all of that drama. It was right around the time that I left my corporate career. And I don't remember how I found it, but I found it. Someone mentioned it or something, and I just dove into it and just devoured every book that I could find on it. And I loved it. And then I told myself, nope, we're not doing this, Tracy. Here you go again. This is your latest thing that you're interested in. I put my books on the shelf and was like, you need to focus on your job and stop with all this silliness. And so I just kind of let it sit there for a while, but it kept just calling me and I kept slowly hearing, because no one was talking about it in 2020. I thought I was like the only person. I was like, I don't even know what this is. And then I started hearing other people mentioning it here and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So then I just kind of pulled off the books and dusted them off and just got back into it and wanted to get, certified and just learn as much as I could about it.
Yeah. So you got your certification recently or shortly
Yeah.
after?
No, no, recently. So I first started by just kind of self-teaching myself, just reading as much as I could. And true to my personality, I always feel like I need the certification. I need to be taught. I need to learn from someone. And so then I sought out, someone to teach it to me through a certification, which was nice. It was great. I love getting all different perspectives on human design. So it's called Mind Body Human Design that I'm certified in.
Oh, okay. Can I ask who your teacher was?
Yes, Corinne. Why am I forgetting her last name? I can't think of her last name. This is horrible. But her first name is Corinne, and it's
Okay.
the feminine human design, mind body design school. That's going to drive me crazy.
Oh, that's okay. If you think of it, just say something. And
Okay.
we can always put a link in the show notes if you want to share that with people. But I'm
Yeah.
always curious because I found human design probably around 2020 also. And I became obsessed. And so there's certain people that I follow and certain people, certain books that I've read. And I was just curious if it was the same, but I don't recognize Corinne. So that's cool.
Yes. I looked at everyone and I saw kind of the bigger names, but I loved her approach to it. She takes a very feminine perspective to it. She really gets into the embodiment piece of it. So I was just really interested in it. And so I just went with her, but there's so many great people out there. But Lindsay, how did you discover it in 2020?
I was in Kathy Heller's course. And let's see, Alexandra Cole, I think, was the first person who talked about it on in her course. And I remember sitting on the couch that particular day, and it was like a special, mini retreat or whatever that we had with Alexandra. And I thought, oh, I'm just gonna watch this 1 hour or hour and a half Zoom, and then I'm gonna get back to my day. And the whole day was consumed with human design. I took so many notes and just, went down a rabbit hole big time.
Got it.
Yeah. Um, so when you first learned about it, what what parts did you start putting into practice and experimenting with? Like what hooked you?
That's a great question. I love personality tests. There's not a quiz I haven't taken. I love personal development, self-development. I love just trying to get better and understand myself more. So I'm all for all of that. But this combined everything, because human design, for those that maybe are new to it, it is made up of four ancient wisdoms systems. So astrology, which I also love, the Chinese I Ching system, the Hindu chakra or chakra, however you say it, system, the Kabbalistic tree of life. So it's all of these ancient wisdoms that all come together, including modern, day quantum physics. So for me, I learned about it. And when I first learned about my human design, I'm a generator. You're a manifesting generator. So we're both generators, which is the most common type. And when I found that out, I didn't love that. I didn't love
Mhm.
the idea of being the most common. You like to think yourself as special or rare. So that immediately was like, hmm. And I didn't resonate it with immediately. And that's not, people don't always immediately connect with their type. Because for me at the time, I was burning out on my career, just very, very fast. And then to learn that a generator has all of this energy, that is what a generator is. We just generate energy and put it out into the world. And I kept thinking, that is not me. I am literally struggling to just keep going because I'm completely burned out. I don't see myself as like this energizer bunny. But the key for me was once I learned that a generator, it's like we're this battery and we have this constant fixed energy, this access to this life force energy. But it's when we are lit up, when we are doing something that we love, it regenerates that battery. And when we're doing something that's draining us, it drains the battery. Once I made that connection, I was like, I got it. Because I started thinking about it. That is so true. Even though I was burning out of my career, if I'm if someone hands me a book that I love, I'll have to tell myself to go to sleep. Like, Tracy, put the book down, go to sleep. I started to notice there really isn't an off switch. I can go, 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 go. But ask me to work on my taxes or something and I'm done, within a few minutes.
Yeah.
So that's when I made the connection like, okay, there's something to it. And then I started just going a little bit further. But what's interesting is I'm more of a theory person. I love reading and learning about it, but I realized I wasn't necessarily applying what I was learning to my life. And that's where the magic of human design comes in when you can embody it, when you can live it, when you can stop yourself, catch yourself, and ask yourself, am I in alignment with my energy or am I out of alignment? So in human design, and stop me if you have any questions. The beauty of it, there's these built-in indicators. So there's something called a signature, and then there's something called a not self. And when you are in alignment with your signature, for instance, for generators, it is satisfaction. So you just simply feel satisfied. It doesn't mean that you're jumping and you're doing cartwheels and you're spinning, but there's just this sense of satisfaction. So if you can catch yourself and say, "Oh, I'm feeling good. Like this feels good. I feel very satisfied." What is it you're doing? Is it maybe you're drinking your favorite cup of tea? Maybe you just hopped off the phone with your girlfriend. What is it you're doing? Can you do more of that? And then when you're feeling the not self, which means you're not in alignment, which is frustration for generators, stop yourself. I sometimes catch myself saying, I'm so frustrated. And I'm like, oh my God. And so now that I've learned to kind of watch for those cues, I'll stop. What is it I'm doing? And then you go back to your type, you go back to your strategy and your authority, and you kind of look, am I in alignment with those things? And you will catch yourself so many times. That's when the power comes in. Those are the most important things about human design is the foundational aspect. I can nerd out about this, Lindsay. I could tell you everything that's in your
Same.
chart, you know, but it's almost doing it a disservice because especially when you learn about this, I want to tell you everything that's in here and what it all means. But what happens is you'll take it and it's like, that was interesting, but you'll walk away like, I don't even really know what to do with all of that. And I kind of forgot what she said. If you can just focus on your type, your strategy, and your authority, it unlocks the rest of your chart. So your chart has the highest expression, the most potential for Lindsay, and then it has kind of what they call the shadows or your lower expression. If you can just stay in alignment with your strategy, your authority, then it will unlock, everything else will beautifully unfold. So it was a long-winded answer, but it's been a journey to really incorporate it into my life.
Mm.
To talk to my sons, they're so over me. They're so over me in human design. My I am a generator. My husband's a projector. My youngest son is a projector. Two of my sons are manifestors. And then I have another son that's a generator. I have four boys. And so now in life, when they do things, I'm like, well, you're a projector. So like, mom, oh my gosh, but so the more I talk about it, the more I meet with people, the more I have these conversations, the more it becomes a part of my life where I recognize when I'm in alignment and out of alignment.
Oh, so much there. I'm also my sign is satisfaction and frustration. So and I would
Well,
like you,
Lindsay,
yeah,
actually, because you're a manifesting generator, right?
correct.
So you're a hybrid of two different types. So yours is satisfaction and frustration. That's the generator, but you also have the manifester. So you have peace and anger.
Mm,
So either one of those, if you feel satisfaction or peace, though that means that's your signature theme. But if you feel frustration or anger, that is your not self.
mm. Yeah. And like you, I was highly burnt out, highly burnt out. I would get into these fits where I would like go crazy working on a project and then something would happen and I would just crash and kind of burn. And that was that was such a hard way to live. And now knowing and trying to pay attention to that and honoring that, I feel so much more expansive. Like I remember the first time I noticed it, going to sleep at night, like when a baby falls asleep with their hands up like this, they say that's a sign of a happy baby. I remember
Yes.
that was me one night and I was like, God, I was so busy today, but I did all the things that light me up and I'm like that happy baby, with her hands up and just ready to crash out and take a nice long good night's rest.
Lindsay, I'm sorry, you just said it because as a generator, we have this life force energy. Our job is to use up as much of that energy in a good way so that at night we can just fall asleep. So you said it. You had a beautiful day where you were doing things that you loved. And then when you went to bed, it was, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And the thing with I love manifesting generators. I absolutely love them. The one thing that I want, if you've studied human design, you know a little bit, but the one thing that I want manifesting generators to hear is you have this beautiful energy type. I think it's one is not better than the other in human design. They're all great. We need all of them. But manifesting generators is the one that I'm always like, because you guys, you move fast, you pivot often, you start things you might not finish, and that is okay. That is the way you are built to be. You can cut corners in a beautiful way. It's like, okay, this is 10. As a generator, I'd be like, Lindsay, I need you to do these 10 things. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to do three and do it beautifully. It's not like so the challenge with manifesting generators that I see so much is to embrace that and not let the world tell you that you have to pick your lane, that
Mhm.
you have to niche down. You have to commit to one thing. Like, Lindsay, can you just stick to, you have to know that's not for me. Because with manifesting generators, you may start something and you may only get 2 weeks into it. And then you might pivot to something else. But the beauty is maybe you got exactly what you needed to get out of that first thing. And now you're moving on to the next, and it led you to the next thing. And as a manifesting generator, you might say, well, what if I put these two together? So you're not here to fit yourself into a groove. You're here to make your own groove. And once you can embrace that, because I know so many manifesting generators that have beaten themselves up, they've spent a life of being conditioned of why are you, there was someone who was like, oh my God, when I was a little girl, I used to color, I would have three coloring books going at once and I would be coloring in all of them. And her mom would say, can you just, and she would put the rest away and try to focus on just one. And she's like, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Mm,
It's a beautiful
yeah.
energy.
I am currently reading probably 8 different books at once.
Yes.
My assistant that I had, she called me whimsical, which was her way of saying I'm all over the place, basically, because that was so me. And I shouldn't say so me, it is me. And
Mhm.
for the longest time, like you said, I was hard on myself about it. Why can't I finish things? Well, and I wasted so much energy beating myself up when I learned about human design and found out that was probably my biggest takeaway was, oh, I'm not supposed to finish everything. It's okay for me to pivot. It was such a permission slip. and such a breath of fresh air.
And that's why I love human design because of that exhale that I see in women when I do sessions with them, when they realize the thing that they've been beating themselves up about is actually a gift. It's actually exactly how they were meant to go through life. We're not meant to do one, we have to get out of this. There's one way. We think one way, we are one way. It's everyone has a different way and it all comes together. And we waste so much effort trying to be like someone else or trying to not be the way we are. And the other thing with human design is you are exactly how you're supposed to be. It'll never tell you that, there's you should be something besides what you are, but it does talk about conditioning and deconditioning. So that's something to know. We're so conditioned from the
Yep.
time that we are born. And it's a lot of times it's from very well-meaning sources.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
parents, your pastor, your neighbor, the media.
School.
Yes, yes. And so you don't even, when you first hear about human design, you might not even recognize yourself because you have told yourself, I'm not doing this. You have one thing that it will encourage you is to strip away that conditioning and see who's underneath there, and what's possible. All have to manage our energy. That's what it's about, is how can you go through life with, you know, less resistance, more flow, and not wasting your energy in ways that is not helpful.
Yes. Yes. Authenticity. So I think this is also human design has just given me even more ways to be more authentic. And like I said, the permission slip thing. Um, I think there's some people that get into human design. They read about themselves and they're like you said, no, that's not me. That doesn't sound like me. And what I usually say to them is just experiment with it for a minute because the conditioning can completely take us out of our alignment, can completely change our view of who we are.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you said experiment because that's really all it is. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. If this resonates with you, you kind of are curious about it and you're pulled to it, experiment with it. If it's not, don't. But you're absolutely you're right. You have to just kind of try it on. The other thing is we're not used to thinking about our energy.
Yeah.
We are energetic beings. We know that. That is science. It is proven. Everything in life is energy. We're all energy. But we don't move through life thinking about, how is my energy showing up and that's really what it is. And I think that's where it's powerful because it's teaching you a whole nother layer to yourself that shows up a lot of times before you even open your mouth. So, how many times have you walked into a room and before there are any words exchanged, you've met someone and you're like, oh my gosh, I like her. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like we've known each other forever. Or the opposite. Oh, okay, I don't know what this is all about. Well, that's energy. We have these auras that some people say they go like 6 feet out around us. That's showing up before we are. Some people say that we're actually inside of our aura instead of looking at it as around us, but that is moving through the world. It is interacting with the world. Whether you believe it or not, it's happening. So why not learn to understand that and move with it?
And it's a tool to listen to your body. We've been told not to listen to our body, that all the answers are in our mind. And how refreshing is it to actually learn the opposite is true? And when our bodies are signaling there's something there for us to know.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Get out of your mind. Your mind is good for lived experiences, things you've already done, but it's not where all the answers, like, especially when you're trying to grow. So it's about getting out of your mind and dropping into your body. And like you said, it's almost like we have to retrain ourselves. We've gone 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years relying solely on our mind, thinking that that's where, you know, you hear people say, I just have this gut sense, or I don't know, I just know. But we kind of feel like that's not very concrete, but it really is. And we
Yep.
almost have to retrain ourselves. So when I think about someone who has like an authority that's sacral, where you feel this gut reaction, this visceral gut reaction, someone might say, I don't really feel that. Well, probably not. You've been pushing that down. The body, the universe, everything is going to tap you and whisper at you. But if you don't respond, I mean, So you have to almost retrain it. You have to almost ask someone, ask me what I want for dinner. Do you want Italian? Do you want, you know, burgers? And just kind of listen for that. And it might take a while for it to come back, but yes, get out of your mind and into your body.
Yeah, you bring up the choices. Um, I learned through my human design that I do better with having options. Like instead of saying, where do you want to go out to eat tonight? Give me two or three options. I think that has to do with my environments being markets. Is that right?
Well, I was thinking it's normally that is your, do you know what your authority is? Are you, so you're a manifesting
Emotional.
generator. You're emotional. Okay, yes. Well, just being a generator in general, you have access to that sacral, which is your gut. So as a generator, yes, it's always ask us yes or no questions. But when you have emotional authority, so do I. What that means is, unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, there's no clarity in the present moment. That's really all that means. So when we're making decisions, and these are big decisions, this doesn't mean every single thing in your life, every decision you have to wait, but we have to wait. It's like you're riding this emotional wave. And when it's really, really high, and if I were to call you and get you all excited about something, it might not be the best time for you to make a decision. Or if that wave is crashing and you're kind of in a lower place, you might not want to make a decision. So what you do is you wait for the wave to just kind of crash and start to neutralize the way it does, like you see it bubble kind of a little bit on the beach. And then you check back in. Is it still a yes now? And if it is, it's a yes. If you've been going back and forth, yes, no, it's a no. At least for now, it's a no. But if you keep checking in over time and it continues being a yes, that's a yes. How much time do you need with emotional authority? It really depends on how big, the decision is. When you hear people say sleep on it, that's emotional authority. Let's
Mm,
check in the morning, see how we're doing. That's emotional authority. That's all that means is just there's no clarity in the present moment.
that is so tough for me to do. Ride the wave. I mean, I've learned that and I try to implement that, but that one is tough for me because I want to make a decision up here. I feel like, oh, that's the time to do it. I'm all jacked up. And then I think of my most recent car purchase, for example. I bought it up here and now I'm like, probably should have waited a minute. But
A perfect example. Like a car purchase is definitely where you want to pull that authority in because it's a major, purchase. But yes, I'm the same way. So in human design, there's a lot of waiting going on, and that is something that turns a lot of people off. Most of the strategies, except for manifestors, is you have to wait to do something. And most people, when they hear that, they're like, I didn't resonate with that. And for generators, we're supposed to wait to respond. I'm not waiting. I don't want to wait. But if you reframe it, it's a really cool energy. I call it queen energy because our power lies in responding to life. So what that means is we do not chase, we attract. That's powerful.
mm,
Generators' auras are very open, we're very magnetic. So I learned it doesn't mean you're sitting around in your house eating bonbons, watching Real Housewives, doing nothing. I like to liken it to an analogy of a surfer. So a surfer, when he goes out to surf, he paddles. He's got his wetsuit on. He's got his board. He paddles out there. He's just kind of in the water, just waiting. And then when that wave comes, he rides it in, effortlessly. He's not out there efforting and creating the wave. He's ready for when that wave comes. And that's kind of our energy. Let the universe bring things into our environment and then we respond to them. Opportunities, people. If you see a car go by, it's like, oh, what is that? I kind of like you're responding to it. Then you go and kind of look into it a little bit more. Or, oh, I don't, no, that is not for me. Well, then you let it go. And I have learned strategy is probably the number one way to create ease in your life. If you can just get your strategy down. So when I feel frustration, I'm out of alignment, I'll stop and say, Tracy, are you efforting? Is there something you're chasing after? Is there something you're trying to force to make happen? And normally there is. And when I can just sit back and get my energy right, it's amazing, Lindsay, what comes to me, what comes into, and then I just sit back and respond to it. So
mm.
a lot of waiting, but the waiting is about, again, managing your energy, not just reacting to everything, not pushing and forcing. It's a little bit more strategic. It can be
More
fun
feminine.
though, more feminine.
It
Yeah.
reminds me, are you familiar with egg wisdom?
Egg wisdom?
Yeah.
No.
Christian Northrup, or Kate Northrup, they
Yeah.
teach on it. I believe Christian Northrup is the one who Chris Christian. Why can't I say her name? But yeah, it was Kate's mom. She's the one who kind of coined that phrase. But it's acting like the egg. So the egg in female anatomy, she sits and attracts the sperm to her. She doesn't go chasing the sperm down.
Mm.
So yeah, I love
Very.
that queen energy analogy too. That's really good.
And see, once I reframed it like that, I was like, okay, I can see that. So that's why it might not, there's a lot of language in human design that can be off-putting to some people, just the terminology. But if you can just kind of get past some of that, sit with it a little bit, you could, the reframe typically comes, and then I can embrace that much more than just being told to wait.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds much juicier that way.
Yes. Yes.
So you mentioned your kids and your husband. How has knowing their human design
Oh.
affected your life? Because I know from my own experience, it's been like, wow.
It's been a game changer because it makes you a lot more empathetic to other people and their uniqueness and understanding how they're wired and why they're wired, especially as a parent. I've learned that my children are here to teach me, probably even more so than I'm here to teach them. And that was a really nice reframe for me. But as a parent, you kind of think I'm wise, I've lived longer, I kind of know what. Now I'm realizing that's not necessarily the case. So couple of examples. One is I have a manifestor son, two of them, and one of them is very much on his path. He kind of knows what he wants and he's off and running. The other one has struggled a little bit because he's trying to fit in to society's norms.
And manifestors are not supposed to fit in.
They're not supposed to fit in. They're not. And I had to tell, which is interesting as a mom to have this conversation with your son, but it's like, you need to just go and do whatever it is that is pulling you. You need to figure out what that is and stop. Your life is not going to probably be conventional, and you need to get excited about that. This one way is not for you, and that's awesome. And since it took a lot of talking, because he just felt like my brothers are all doing this, everyone's doing this, I need to do this. But when he slowly started to just kind of embrace it just a little bit, he started to follow one breadcrumb. And that breadcrumb led to something else and led to something else. His whole life has changed in a matter of months. He's a completely different person. The other thing with manifestors is you are supposed to inform people because manifestors can just go, 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 go. If someone's going to be kind of in your path, just give them a little heads up. This is what I'm doing. You're not asking for permission. Not an easy thing to tell your child. You're not asking for permission, but
Yeah.
I said, hey, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you're not asking you. I just need you to tell me, wake up and say, Mom, I'm going to go play golf and go. You're not asking for my permission, but you're letting me know where you are. So all of that, you can't clip a manifestor's wings. You have to let them go. So that has really changed. With my husband, he's a projector. His energy, that's a non-sacral type in human design, so he does not have consistent access to energy. It's just not fixed. It doesn't mean you don't have it, but it ebbs and flows. So he's not meant to be like a generator. This world was built for generators. It was built by generators. This whole work, 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 work. It's all generator energy. As a projector, he might put in 4 good solid hours and then he just might go for a walk, take a quick break, work out for a little bit. It might be 20 minutes and then he can get back at it. But when I first noticed the way he worked, I was like, man, yeah, 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 yeah. Just, and then when I really started learning this, I was like, Tracy, shut up. Like, that's not your way is not everyone else. So it's made me way more empathetic to others.
Hmm.
How about you? What are your
Yeah.
stories?
So my two oldest kids are projectors.
Yes.
And when they come home from school, they want to like lay in their bed for 15, 20, maybe sometimes even an hour. And it used to drive me crazy. And now it's like, okay, that's just their projector energy. I gotta just shut up.
Yes.
Um, and then I have a 6-month-old baby. She's a manifesting generator like me. We have a lot of the same, our charts are very similar. And then my fiance is a generator. So
Wow.
learning that he's a generator. So I'm kind of the idea factory and he kind of makes things happen, right?
That's beautiful.
But before I learned this, I was like, why doesn't he come up with a vacation plan? And I would get mad or frustrated and think, what the hell? Why do I have to be the one? But after I learned that, it's like, oh, that's why.
That's why. Oh, I love that. And yes, my projector son would come home from this is when he was in high school. He would come home and he would want to take a nap. And I was like, don't take a nap, just go to bed early. And then you won't be up so late and you won't be so tired the next day. And he insisted. And then I realized that's exactly what you needed to do.
Yeah, so good.
So interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me how you help people right now. Like, are you doing courses? I think you have a challenge right now, right? Or,
Yes, I
okay.
do. So it's interesting because I am a human design guide, but I do other things. So my business, A Beautiful Fix, it's kind of two parts. It's really all about helping women realize that the answers are within. Because when I was burning out in corporate America, I was searching everywhere externally for the answers. Do you have the answer for me? Do you have the answers? Whether it was a coach or a class or a book or all of it, it's all within. It's
Mm.
all within in every situation, but sometimes you have to get quiet. So I started A Beautiful Fix to help someone who might have been feeling the way that I was feeling in corporate America. I felt so alone. And but it's also to remind women how beautiful life is. So it's kind of a two-parter because I think we've kind of forgotten and you turn on the news and it sounds so dark and it can be dark, but it's also amazing beautiful. So that's kind of my goal is to remind people. So I have a podcast called A Beautiful Fix where I just bring women on to have conversations like this. They've all figured out life a little bit differently, and that's what's so beautiful, whether it's qigong or forest bathing or whatever it is. So it's just to bring women on that have kind of had these transformations. Then I also offer retreats, and then I do human design sessions as well.
Oh, awesome. Where are you located? I don't remember if I've even looked that up.
I'm in Northwest Indiana, so I'm right outside. I consider myself a suburb of Chicago. It's like 40 minutes outside of Chicago.
Okay, not too terribly far. I'm Wisconsin, West
Oh,
Central.
where in Wisconsin?
Lacrosse, between Lacrosse and Eau Claire.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Yes,
Yeah. So not too far.
not too
Uh,
far.
Forest bathing. I've never heard of forest bathing. What is that?
Lindsay. So I started hearing about forest bathing. What is that? And then after I started hearing about it, one of my sons who was in nursing, he was in at Purdue. He was like, Mom, we're going to be doing forest bathing this way. I'm like, oh my God, I've been wanting to know what that is. So I drove down there to do it with him. It's basically, it's one of the most relaxing things you'll ever do. It doesn't have to be in a forest, it can be in your backyard. But you go and they give you these invitations. So they'll say, walk around and just notice what is moving. And you'll just kind of walk around and suddenly you notice like the trees are swaying, but then the blades of grass. And then you come back and you kind of discuss it and I can't explain it just energetically. It's like a massage, but it's outside, it's free, it's available to you at all times. I went and hugged a tree and smelled it and realized the aromatherapy from the tree was amazing. I'd never smelled a tree before in my life. So it's just taking moments to reconnect with nature.
I love that.
Yeah, I have a whole episode on it if you want to listen to it on the podcast.
Yeah.
There's a woman who does it and she even does it virtually. She can walk you through having an experience, yes, from any place in the world.
Wow. That's so good.
Yes.
And your retreats, where do you usually go? How long are they?
Yeah, so I just started. I had my first retreat earlier this year, and it was local. It was in kind of northern Illinois, right by Wisconsin, Davis, Illinois. It was at a lake house. And I did that kind of intentionally because I wanted it again to be easy for women that are kind of burned out, need an escape. Maybe they can't take a 5, 7 day, international retreat. It's just, kind of right outside of Chicago. And it was a beautiful experience. And we're just now starting to plan, our next retreat. And eventually I will go and explore, further. But for now, I wanted to keep it just kind of local.
Yeah, you just need an excuse to check out of your normal everyday environment and people and things to do.
Exactly. That's the beauty of a retreat. It just breaks the habit of you, of your normal life. It gives you a chance to go and just to see these women show up and realize this really is time just for me. Like, oh my God, that was just the most rewarding experience to see women just at the beginning they were trying to help and let me it's like, no, you just go, go to the sauna, just go do your thing and really
Mm.
beautiful.
Was it a couple days, 3 days? How many?
It was 3 days. It was three
Okay.
days. So
Awesome.
not too long, just enough to kind of, get away and experience something new but powerful.
Awesome. And I suppose you do some human design sessions and
Yeah. Yes. So if people are interested in learning more, a couple things. I meant to say this at the top of the call. If people do not know their human design, or maybe they just know their type, but they don't know the strategy, the authority, all the things, they can go to my website at beautifulfix.com, click on human design, and you can get your chart for free. While you're there, if you scroll down, there is a free report. It just talks about how to align your design with your health. So that is available to them. If they want to go a little bit deeper, there is a report that is completely personalized and it'll tell them about their strategy, their authority, their profile, and their centers. And so that is available as well. And then I also do one-to-one, which is 60 minutes, where we go through all of that. And then whatever kind of that one question is that is on your mind right now, I will pull from your chart different things that helps to answer that for you a little bit or just to kind of guide you to, normally it comes back to where they're not in alignment. Um, that just kind of helps them get over that. So those right now are the things that I'm offering for human design. I'm working on some other things.
sounds so good.
Yes.
One of the things that I don't remember who it was that talked about it, but they talked about finding your ideal client based on your human design. And I think it was based on your centers that are not defined. Do I have that right?
Mm.
Do you have anything to speak
I
on
can
that?
absolutely see that because your centers, so if people are looking at their chart, your centers are either defined or not defined. They're either, open, they're colored in or completely open, white. And your centers that are white, that are open or undefined, they're powerful. Like we learn, there's so much wisdom there. It's often why we're here to kind of learn something. Because what it is if it's undefined, you are receiving that energy from others and you're amplifying it. So once you recognize, like, okay, I have an undefined whatever particular center, you can ask yourself, is this even my energy? Is this even what I'm feeling? If you have an undefined emotional solar plexus, a lot of times those are where your empaths come in. They're overwhelmingly filling other people's energies. And once you can realize, okay, that's not mine, you can kind of let it go instead of taking it on as yours. Then the centers that are defined, what's happening there is you're transmitting energy. So that's why for generators, we're transmitting constantly, energy. So finding your ideal client, I can see that coming from your undefined centers because those are a lot of times the lessons that you're here to learn. You can get really wise at it because you are so open to receiving other people's energy that it makes you kind of wise in those areas.
Mm. Yeah, I have ego, spleen, and crown are all open. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I've been kind of digging into that a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, those are good. So yes, with the spleen, just think about that. Just there's a lot of fear gates in the spleen. So sometimes if you are feeling fearful, that is one of those things to just kind of think of this might not be my own fear. Like where are you? What environment? Who are you around? It could be other people's fear that you're taking on.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I don't think we even realize that we do that. I don't think we realize
Oh.
that we um so I have Reiki practice on me once a month.
Oh.
And I remember after this one event, I felt really good after this event. And normally I don't. Normally I feel very drained. And my practitioner said, you had a lot of negative energy corded on you. Like I picked up other people's energy at this particular event. And so even though I thought I was feeling good about the way it all went, I had other people's energy kind of pulling me down. So
Wow.
very interesting stuff.
It is. Again, we don't think about our energy and how it is impacted by others
Mhm.
and how to keep it safe. And yeah,
And how much it affects everything we do, every aspect of our life, our career, our family, health, sleep, everything.
to the point that I would say, Lindsay, I've learned, again, thinking about the way I burned out of corporate America, I was very much, I have to do all the things. I have to do it this way. I have to have everything perfect, recovering perfectionist. I would focus on all of those things and I would get so tense and stressed and I would bring that to whatever it is I was doing. And now I'm learning to just focus on my energy, just get my energy right. And if I show up with good energy, you kind of can't get it wrong, you know?
Yeah,
And
it's
I've
such a
learned a lot.
softer way to live too.
The softer way. And if you know what helps is when you notice it in others. So you mentioned Kathy Heller. She's the most beautiful energy. The way she shows up for everything. I was at her retreat last year, right after her father passed.
So was
And
I.
stop it.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, that's so
Lindsay.
funny. I don't
Oh
remember
my God.
you. I'm so sorry.
No, same. Well, there was like 90 people there or something, but wow.
Yeah, that was
Well,
such a good time.
when I learned when I learned of her father's passing, I thought, well, that's it. There's not going to be any retreat. I lost my father 18 years. There's no way she's showing up. And then when it still happened, I was like, oh my gosh. And the way she showed up, she was so present. She was so raw. It was
Ah, I
just,
was
I'm
gonna say
here.
raw.
You know, I'm here. I don't know what this is going to look like. I know my team has my back. I trust in everybody in this room. It was beautiful to see. And I walked away thinking, that's it. That is it. Just bring as much as you can, the most beautiful form of your energy, and the rest will unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had lost my father November of 23, and that was shortly after the retreat at her house. So that was, yeah, 23. So October 23 was the one at her house. And I
Okay.
came home. I was just flying high from that retreat and being in her world for the last year or 2 years, whatever it had been. And so I totally expected her not to show up. I didn't really know how she was going to show up once I found out she was planning on continuing with the retreat. And yeah, I bawled my whole face off the first 5 minutes of that day.
Yes. Yes. When she started talking and telling it, yes. Yes.
It's so beautiful when women come together like that and fully, I call it cracked open. She cracks people open in such a beautiful way.
She does. And I think it's because she goes first.
Mm,
She shows up that way and she shows you. And like you said, it's beautiful to see. You would never watch her in person and say, oh my gosh, why didn't she get herself together before? No, it's like that is what makes her so beautiful and makes you want to be in her presence because she shows up that way. And then it shows you it's okay. Not only is it okay, but we should really all do that more. Let's drop all the pretense and the perfection and all of that and just
yep.
get real.
Pure authenticity.
Yes,
Hmm. Hmm.
absolutely.
Well, I cannot believe we were both there and I didn't know that.
Ah, It's that is crazy. I can believe it though. You wish you could meet everyone there, because everyone in her world is just amazing. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that is funny.
Do you plan on going to any more, or do you have any retreats coming up that you're going to attend?
I don't because I've told myself, Tracy, you're going to do the retreats. If you're going on any retreats, it's going to be your own. I'm trying to get myself to be more of a person of action. I love to daydream and go and read and highlight my books, and I'm making myself do the thing. So I have, for now, I'm just going to focus on, my next retreat, but I definitely want to get back. Everyone should go on a retreat.
Oh,
How about you?
absolutely.
Do you have anything planned?
Well, I was the pregnant lady at that last retreat that you were at.
Okay.
So I have a 6-month-old baby, and so travel plans are kind of paused right now. But
Got it.
it's some of the
Okay.
best money I've ever spent on myself. Courses and retreats. I mean, I've spent so much money on books. I've listened to all the podcasts and all the things. I've been going to Reiki for years, and I love that, and it's all good. But the courses and the retreats, best investment. Best investment.
I used to think of a retreat as a luxury, and it's like, no, it's a necessity. You really should, everyone should experience it because it's experiential. There's just nothing like so last year, not only did I go to Kathy's, but I went to another retreat in Teotihuacan, Mexico. So I had two retreats. That's why I was like, Tracy, we're done with retreats for a little bit. But that was, oh my God, it life changed. I mean, literally, I know that sounds it's so overused, but life changing.
No, I totally
So
get it. What,
yes.
so I think there's a lot of, it's still pretty new to people, I feel like in my area, retreats and courses. What would you say to someone who's considering a course or a retreat, like for
Hmm.
the woman who doesn't want to
Well,
invest the
first,
money?
see, I think that's what I say. It's not a luxury. I think it's a must have. And I know that's easy to say. Some people are probably listening thinking, I easy to say. I wish for the longest I denied myself. And I feel like looking back on my corporate days, I had a wonderful job, by the way. I'm not one of those stories where I had a horrible manager. No, on paper, I should not have been complaining about anything. I feel like if I had taken the time to invest in myself through courses or retreats, I probably wouldn't have burned out. I probably would have been a completely different human being. I did that to myself. I took my job so seriously and made it so important and prioritized it so high that I just neglected every other part of my life. Job wasn't asking me to do that. I did that to myself. So when you when I think about what I did, jumping from this job, doing that to my family, if I just gone on a retreat, the idea that one retreat could have potentially saved me, I mean, to me, it's the best form of medicine. You can't get anything. I don't know where else you can get that experience. I think so many of us are craving human connection and the kind of connection you get going on a retreat, bonding with people that you didn't know hours ago, but you go through this immersive experience together. There's nothing like it. So I would say if you can start a retreat doesn't have to be to Bali for 10 days. It doesn't have to be that. It can be one day. It can be 3 days. It can be local. It can, whatever it is, it can be on any topic. Try to find something and start there. Or maybe even start with just a retreat for yourself in your own home where you're going to set aside time. But the beauty of courses is we have so many interests. Follow those interests. I mean, it's so well worth it to I'm a lifelong learner. That's why I don't call myself
Same.
an expert or even a coach because I'm going to be learning until the day I leave this earth. I hope the last words out of my mouth of will be, I should have learned more. I just want to constantly, I just want to constantly learn. That's what life is about, is being curious and living. So I just find a way, however you can find a way. I just did the one retreat earlier this year in January, and it was crazy how it came about. I just said, I'm doing it. I came back from the retreat in Teotihuacan. I had this fire in my belly. I had this courage. I had done things that I did not think I could ever do in my life. I thought I was going there for a particular reason. I realized it was to overcome every fear I ever had, and I did it. So when I came back, I was just shoulders back. I can do anything. And I was like, I'm going to do a retreat in 6 weeks. Insane. I don't necessarily recommend that, but I did it. I did it. And I just said, I didn't really promote it. It filled so fast because it was only 8 women, which included one yoga teacher and me and my retreat partner. So it was 5 women. It's 5 women. It was small, but it was fast. And I just put out the intention that whoever this is a little woo, but I actually created a little altar in my bedroom and I had a crystal for each woman that I wanted to be there. And I would sing to it every day. And I cannot sing. And I just kind of called them in. Whoever is meant to be there will be there. And it filled effortlessly. Now I realize that's not, you know, I kind of lucked out with that, but
That's
again,
because
it's
your
energy.
energy was in alignment, though. I feel like when our energy is in alignment and our attention is in alignment, that's when things happen. It doesn't, any time that I've ever planned something to a T and been totally prepared, it doesn't ever work out the way it would if I were, you know, I did this, I hosted a retreat right after my retreat with Kathy at her house.
Oh,
Um, and it was like Thursday and I got back on a no, I got back on a Wednesday and I hosted a retreat on Saturday.
no
So,
way.
I mean, I
No.
had it planned, but it was still, it was wild.
How long was the retreat?
It was just one day at my
Okay.
house, very simple.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but yeah, I totally understand what you mean by you come back from your retreat and you're just like, woo, I can do anything. I mean, that is the best damn feeling. And that's what we are all more, I feel like that's what we're hungry for. And
It,
wouldn't it be cool if not only individuals understood that, but also like corporate?
yeah.
I hope somebody at some company hears what we are talking about and says, hey, maybe I should invest in my employees this way. Because if you do, you're going to have employees that stick around a lot longer. I can totally agree with you on I made myself miserable. I worked myself harder than I should have. I allowed myself to burn out.
And Lindsay, the beauty of that is we recognize it in ourselves. And once you recognize it, you know that you also have the power to change your life. So many people walk around blaming everybody else. But once you realize it's me, I'm the problem, then you don't have to continue to repeat it.
Mhm.
So yes, if corporations started to send their employees on retreats, or even better, let them choose kind of their own,
Yeah.
don't make it a corporate retreat,
Sort of
you
like a
know
benefit package, like you get insurance and you get to pick your retreat for the year or something.
one retreat a year, that would be huge.
Oh, so
That's all people need is balance. They need a break. They need something else in their lives to look forward to. They need to continue to learn and grow and evolve, and it not just being about work, and knowing
mhm.
that it's okay to do that. I felt like I had to focus on my job 24/7. If I didn't, I was doing something, it's ridiculous.
Same. Yep,
Mm.
same. And then learning about human design on top of it, that would that's going to make you so much more efficient and so much more effective in whatever it is that you're doing.
I agree. And since we're talking to corporations, they also should learn what, everyone's human design is, because as a manager, you will manage your team differently. You can, not try to make them all do the exact same thing and say, so yes, it can be used in so many areas of your life, relationships, parenting. There's really nothing that you can't use it for. And
Hmm.
I'll say one other thing that's really cool. There's so many things that are cool about human design, but I have what they call a triple split definition. And
Oh,
so what that means is my energy centers, you have your energy centers, mine, the ones that are defined, they're not all talking to each other. They're literally in three separate little clusters. So these are talking to each other, they're not connected through a channel. And so what that means for me is it's almost like being at work and you've got three different meetings going on, but no one's ever, sharing notes with the other. It's like that's not very efficient. So for someone like me, it's really good for me to go to like sit in a Starbucks or go to a library. I don't have to talk to other people. It's almost like I'm an energy vampire, just to go and place myself down because I am going to connect with other people's energies. And what's cool about human design is even though I may have a channel that's not lit up in my design, if I go and sit next to you, Lindsay, and you have it lit up, it lights mine up. So I'm going to be
that's
receiving it and have a complete channel, which sometimes that means I'll go to like Barnes and Nobles. I'm a nerd. I love a good bookstore. But I may get ideas that I'm not getting sitting in my house, or I'm not getting sitting around, my family where I'm always around. But I go there and all of a sudden it's like, oh, what if it very well could be because I changed my environment and the different energy types that are there and their channels and their centers are lighting mine up. So it's
oh,
really, I know.
I didn't know
It's,
that.
yes.
Yeah, it reminds me
Yeah.
of like when I've dug into markets. I work at home, and
Mhm.
one of the suggestions that I found was to like just go work at a coffee shop for a day. Just to be in that environment is supposed
Yes.
to really spark creativity and I suppose ambition.
Yes. Yes. It's kind of how you digest life and through markets. That's absolutely right. So put yourself in these environments, and that's kind of where you naturally, where you thrive, you come to life.
Yeah, so cool. Okay, let's remind everybody about your website, where to find you and your podcast name.
Yes. Okay. So you can find me on social media at A Beautiful Fix. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, also LinkedIn. And my podcast is A Beautiful Fix. You can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on all the major platforms. Again, if you're interested in human design, you can go to my website and download your chart. And also, Lindsay, for your listeners, when this episode comes out, if within that week that it comes out, they purchase a one-to-one human design session, I will throw in that guide that I was telling you about, which is a value of $33. So with the session, they'll also get the guide. So I can give you like a special code or something. So I would love to offer that. And the other thing is kind of, this isn't human design, but if you go to my website and you sign up, every Sunday I send out what I call a thought gem. When I was working, I used to get the Sunday scaries. Sunday
Oh,
was the
me
hardest day
too.
of the week for me. Really,
Yep. Same. God, yeah, same.
it was it was worse than a Monday because at least
Mhm.
Monday I'm back in it. But
Right.
Sunday, the anticipation, yes. So I started sending out thought gems. It's just one little thing to help you maybe reframe the way you're thinking about your week a little bit. So if they can absolutely get those as well. And yeah, you can find out about my retreats, all of that. You'll find out about that first if you're signed up on my website. But yeah, I'd love to hear from your
That
listeners.
that's so awesome. Yeah. Sunday scaries. It
Uh,
totally robbed me of my weekend. I mean, it's awful.
Well, and if I'm being honest, it started off the Sunday scaries, and then it kind of became the Saturday because I started thinking, oh my gosh, my Saturday's almost done. Then I started getting like into my feelings Friday night because I'm like, well, Friday night's almost done, so the weekend's pretty, and I'm almost back at work. I mean, yeah, it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it again, I did it to myself.
Yeah. Same. Okay, well, thank you again for being here, and I could talk
Yes,
about this
I
all day and
know.
night.
It's so good. Well, and thank you for having me on. It's my favorite thing to talk about.
Same. Awesome. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay.